Is Bukes there? Ric Bucher, senior writer, Bleacher Report, covering this league since the early 90s. Not just the Warriors, but all over the NBA. Bukes, I'm told you have some intel on KD.
Yeah, what I'm being told is that he's out of the hospital. He's moved into a hotel for the time being in the New York area, and he and Kyrie have met. I don't know whether Kyrie went to see him at the hospital or at the hotel, but they've met and they've continued their discussion about potentially playing together next season. So take that as you will. And my understanding is that KD is not, he's moved all his stuff. He's planning on spending the summer and the foreseeable future in New York. He's not going back out to the West Coast. So take that for what you will. But every indication, if we're tea leaf reading at this point, is that KD's making plans to be elsewhere because obviously Kyrie is not going to be joining the Warriors anytime soon.
Well, the only movement I'm sure of or feel very good about is Kyrie to the Brooklyn Nets. Does that mean KD would go to the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie?
Well, yeah. I mean, so this is the conundrum for me, and I've had people tell me that KD's not sold on going to Brooklyn more than playing for the Knicks. Kyrie wants their partnership to continue with the Nets. If I'm reading things correctly, KD would like to see that happen with the Knicks, and that's the rub. Do they ultimately stay with their plan to play together, or their desire to be in two different places, does that end up sending them two different places? And they're both in New York, they're just not on the same team. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not sure that they or at least KD knows the answer to that at this point.
Were KD and Kyrie close for years, or is this a newly formed relationship?
No, my understanding is they've been close for years, and they've been talking about something like this for years, going back to the national team days. That's where they forged their friendship. They were always hanging out together, always playing one-on-one, and that was the birth of their wanting to play together. So it has been going on for a couple of years. My understanding is, on some low level, the planning for this has been going on for a couple of years.
Even if you put Kyrie and KD together, they wouldn't have much of a bench. It's two max guys. They traded away picks in Brooklyn. I still don't think they're as good as Milwaukee. I don't know if they're as good as Philadelphia. Kyrie gets hurt a lot. KD's not playing next year. I mean, I'm not saying it's not fascinating to watch. I'm not sure Kyrie doesn't want to play defense. Kevin may never quite be as good. I think it's fascinating for the league. Is it a great team? Like LeBron and Anthony Davis feel more solid, less prone to injury than KD and Kyrie going forward.
I would give you that as far as the nucleus, but I think the first part that you mentioned is what's key here, and it's why it depends on and why New York is not willing to give up a bunch of assets to get Anthony Davis, because they're looking at it as Oklahoma City and any number of teams. They're looking at depth being the important element here, the versatility and the depth. And ultimately, that's what made the Golden State Warriors, certainly, they have great players up top, but it was their depth and their versatility that really distinguished them. When they lost that, they quickly became vulnerable. What put Toronto over the top was they didn't have that nucleus of superstars, but they had 8, 9 guys that could present difficulties in particular matchups. Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry. I mean, we're talking about all guys that aren't necessarily quote-unquote stars, but that played vital roles in the Raptors ending up winning a championship. And I dare say that with the what we're seeing now, the physiological wear and tear of the game being played as fast as it's being played, with as many possessions as it's being played, that having depth is going to be that it's a little bit like the Patriots in the NFL. Depth is what's going to be the distinguishing factor. Yeah, you need a star that can bring you home, but your ability to deal with injuries over the course of a season and still have a team at the end is going to be the thing that is going to be the new hallmark of championship teams. And I'm not sure that we're ever Colin, that we're ever going to be talking about a team three-peating again. I just don't believe that, at least the way it's presently constituted, unless they expand the rosters or they shorten the season, that we're going to be talking about a particular team making this many runs consecutively to the final.
So I'm going to connect the dots. KD's out. Clay's not there till March. Boogie doesn't have the defensive aptitude that Golden State wants. The dynasty's over. They'll be good, but the dynasty's over.
We're about to find out just how many light years Joe Lacob is ahead of the rest of the league, because they are in a bad way. They don't have flexibility to rebuild on the fly. I would fully expect that Clay will re-up, but you are not going to have him for the better part of next year, presumably. And KD leaves, doesn't mean that you have the cap space to spend that money elsewhere. They're still going to be capped out. And then so now you're looking at a team next year that is going to have to ride Steph and Draymond and the existing quality pieces even harder in a sixth year, because you don't have the latitude to rely on other stars. So they are they're about to pay the price in a big way for the last 5 years.
I think so, too. Let's update. We imagine the Lakers would like to get the deal done before the draft because the number 4 pick has more value. When do you think that AD... Because I don't buy Boston's in it. I just think that's the people leaking stuff to get leverage back from the Lakers who have all the leverage.
This is what Danny Ainge does. I mean, he's always poking his head in on other deals, especially if somebody says, oh, a guy doesn't want to go to Boston. It's almost like Danny goes, watch me. Like, I'm going to get in this conversation whether you like it or not. Does he ever actually pull the trigger? Fewer times than not. But, yeah, that does not surprise me. I fully expect that the Lakers will get a deal done before the draft. It doesn't make sense for either side not to do that. New Orleans wants to be able to move forward knowing what they are going to do with that number 4 pick. And everything that I'm hearing right now, it's a matter of can they pry Kuzma out of or get Kuzma added to the deal along with everything else. It's a little bit like the Carmelo thing. And if I think the last piece in the equation was that Denver wanted a second first-round pick, or if you can't, and they didn't have one, they had to get one. And they said, okay, well, if you can't do that, then give us Mozgov. And at that time, Mozgov was certainly more valuable piece than he is now. But that was, I feel like it's going to come down to the same thing. It's going to be the Pelicans saying, okay, if you really want to get this done, before the draft, add Kuzma to the deal, and we see who blinks first.
Ric Bucher, the pride of Dartmouth. That's a big, I'm
not so sure about that, but thank you.
It is the party school of the Ivy League. You are well of it.
Work hard, play hard. That was our mantra, and it took me a couple of years to get that out of my system.
Work hard, play hard. Ric Bucher, great talking to you.
Always, Colin.
So KD and Kyrie met in New York. KD has moved his stuff all out of the Bay. KD is moving. I don't get it. I don't, but maybe if I had $300 billion in the bank, at that point you just don't care. You're like, I'm just over this group. They have no flexibility, man. Boogie doesn't really fit. Clay's out the entire season. Kevin Durant's leaving. Steph's good, but he gets worn down. And Draymond, you can't count on Draymond in the regular season. He's a 7-7 guy in the regular season. They feel like they're a 4 seed to me. 4 to 5. That's what they feel like next year. It's a 5 seed team. And I'm not even sure when Clay comes back in March. How do we know? Is he going to play? Not going to be 100%. Torn Achilles? I don't know. And I also don't know if it feels like it's right, but that all these games have just added up to fatigue for athletes. Fans will say, yeah, years ago, guys used to play real defense, but the pace of the games was significantly slower. You're burning 7,000-8,000 calories a night now, getting on a plane, smoothie bed up, hotel. Like, guys are struggling to keep weight on. The cardio in the league, it's a fast league now. It's like the NFL. No huddles. You got to be in better shape. You can't have 340-pound offensive linemen. It's harder. You just fast. No huddles. Go. Defensive linemen. That's why Aaron Donald's so valuable. It's not he's the biggest. He's the most nimble big guy in the league.